Today we're looking at the first movement, the Vivace, from the Sonata in F major by Georges-Philippe Telemann. Now, Telemann was a Baroque composer and he was massively prolific. I mean, he wrote so much music in his lifetime. He was also an entrepreneur. He was fascinated in printing and he was very interested in getting things published. So he was quite simply well in advance of his period. Quite a fascinating person. I would urge you to do some background research on this phenomenal composer. Now, this piece would have originally been written for the recorder, so we kind of have to have a degree of respect for the period in which the music was written. And these modern-day flute, the Boehm system flute, is so much bigger and louder and bolder, and they're wonderful instruments. But when we play Baroque music, I think it's very important to try and get into the characteristics of the period. The piece is marked Vivace, or lively, and this in itself is quite interesting because Telemann clearly marks out his ideas of how fast various tempi should be. Presto is very fast, allegro is fast, and vivace is simply lively. So from this we conclude that it doesn't have to be viciously fast. Perhaps the three most important things we have to look out for here are the sound that we make. As I said, the flute is quite a brassy instrument when it's in metal. The recorder would have been made of wood. The Baroque flute was made of wood. We should get a sound in our head that's more round rather than cutting. We've then got the articulation of the notes. And once again, I think we need to be very light with our articulation. For me, in Baroque music, the tongue should dance on the roof of the mouth. We shouldn't spit notes into the flute. And then added to that, we've got to put shape into the music. Apart from getting us to play a really beautiful melody, Telemann also put some technical detail into this sonata, which is something for us to work on. And in this one, for me, the most important part are the fingers, because in bar 11, we have to do this. Now, that is a workout for this finger in particular, and we know that these two fingers in both hands are disastrous when it comes to flute playing, so we have to do some work on them. And I would recommend that you do an exercise which makes the fingers move in both directions and repeats that action. And that can be found in my book, the 28-Day Warm-Up Book. The final thing that I'd like you to remember with a piece like this is that with music from this period, articulation was very, very varied. So don't play all the eighth notes the same length. Experiment with some of them being a little bit different. Some of them may be longer or shorter. Maybe the ones on the first and the third beat of the bar, the most important beats of the bar, make those fractionally longer, and the ones that aren't on those beats can be shorter because they are less important. And the most important thing, as I've said, is to make sure that the music bubbles along and actually it comes across more as a dance movement than anything else. So how is it going to bubble along? Well, there's only three things to remember when playing a piece of music like this, and they are shape, shape, and shape. Everything we do in this movement has to be done with great shape. And I'll give you an example. I'll play the opening first with no shape and the second one with shape, and you tell me which you prefer. Oh. Articulation in this music is very, very important as well, and I would urge you not to use anything too aggressive. If I use an aggressive tongue using tu, 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 this is what happens at the beginning. And you get a lot of attack at the beginning of the note, almost an explosion, but then after that the note is completely dead. If we use the articulation da, 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 much softer, more of a duh than a t, this is what you get. And that is more stylistically appropriate for music of this period.